I destroyed my marriage in one night at a cheap motel. But the real nightmare didn't start when the test showed two lines. It started when I watched the love in his eyes die and turn into a cold, calculated war. My name's Lauren, 39, female. My husband, Miguel, 39, male, used to be warm. Not perfect. He could be loud, dramatic, stubborn as hell, but warm. Like the man would come home after a 10-hour shift, still smelling like sweat and engine grease, and somehow still notice I'd switch the throw pillows. He'd kiss my forehead like it was automatic, like I was his home. We met when we were teenagers, and I was the weird girl who stayed inside reading fantasy books and making cosplay armor out of foam in my parents' garage. Miguel was the opposite. Popular, reckless, always one punch away from getting suspended. And somehow, for reasons I still can't explain, he chose me. Everyone said it wouldn't last. Everyone said he'd get bored. Instead, he learned my hobbies like they were a second language. He'd let me ramble about characters and story arcs while he cooked. He'd wear the dumb costumes I made for conventions without complaining. He'd dance with me in the kitchen like we were the only two people alive. We got married young. Two kids came fast, our son Eli and our daughter Nora. Miguel became this tank of a man. Broad shoulders, thick arms, a little soft around the middle, and still somehow kept that same boyish grin when the kids tackled him like a jungle gym. For years I felt lucky in a way that made me guilty, like I'd stolen a life meant for someone better. But there was a crack, a quiet one. It started with intimacy, not the romantic kind you see in movies, the everyday kind, the reaching, the initiating, the wanting. Miguel wanted me, constantly, like a hunger that never shut off. And I didn't. I loved him. I still do. But my body felt like it was running on low battery all the time. Between the kids, the noise, the schedules, the endless touch and tug and need, by night I just wanted to be left alone in my own skin. I said, "Not tonight," so many times it became our third roommate. Miguel would try to joke about it at first, then he stopped joking. Then he started snapping. Not at the kids, never at the kids, but at me in these sharp little bursts, like a dog biting because it's cornered. Counseling, doctors, blood work, pills, awkward conversations where I stared at the carpet while strangers asked about my sex life like it was a work project. And through all of that, Miguel still did sweet things. Packed my lunch, left notes, held my hand in public like he was afraid I'd disappear. Which is why what I did next feels so unreal. It wasn't a slow, romantic affair. It was a stupid, brutal moment. 5 weeks that shattered 21 years. One night out with friends, a bowling alley lounge, a guy in his early 20s flirting like it was a game, and me letting it happen. Like my brain switched off and someone else borrowed my body. I kept telling myself it was nothing, a mistake, a fluke, something I could bury deep enough that it would rot quietly and never reach the surface. Then I missed my period. Then the test turned positive. And when Miguel found out, before I even had the chance to lie properly, something in him snapped so cleanly it was almost audible. That's what I need you to understand. I didn't just break my marriage. I woke up the part of my husband that I hadn't seen since high school. And now I don't know how to put him back. The day Miguel found out I was pregnant, he came home early. That alone should have warned me something was wrong. He never left work early. Ever. I was standing in the kitchen, slicing strawberries for Eli and Nora, like I was some wholesome Pinterest mom, rehearsing in my head how I was going to schedule the abortion without anyone knowing. My phone buzzed once, then the front door opened. He didn't say hello. Miguel stood there in his work boots, dust on his jeans, jaw tight enough to crack teeth. He wasn't yelling. That would have been easier. He just held his phone up in his hand like it was evidence in a trial. "Our insurance," he said. Calm. Too calm. "Want to tell me why there's a prenatal visit claim?" My stomach dropped so fast I swear I felt it in my knees. The kids were in the living room. I could hear cartoons playing, laugh tracks, fake happiness bleeding through the doorway. I tried to speak and nothing came out. "Who's the father, Lauren?" The way he said it, measured, like he was asking about the weather, was worse than screaming. "It was one time," I blurted. It didn't mean anything. I stopped it. I. His hand slammed against the counter so hard the knife rattled. Not at me. Not yet. Just impact. Noise. Rage looking for a place to land. How long? He asked again, louder now. His voice cracked on the second word. One night, 5 weeks ago. The bowling alley. I swear, Miguel. I swear it was one time. He stared at me like I'd just told him I'd been dead for years and forgot to mention it. The shift in him was visible. Shoulders squared, eyes bloodshot. Breathing heavy like he was fighting something feral inside his own chest. You let some random kid knock you up? He said. Not yelling yet. Just disgust. In a motel? I nodded because lying would have been gasoline. He grabbed my chin. Hard. Not enough to bruise, but enough to hurt. Enough to say I could. Details, he demanded. Everything. And I told him. Every humiliating, pathetic detail, because I thought honesty might save something. Instead, it burned the last bridge. He called me a slut in Spanish. Quietly, almost tenderly. Then he walked out. I thought he was leaving to cool off. He came back 3 hours later with a split lip, bruised knuckles, and blood on his shirt that wasn't his. I didn't have to ask. You found him, I whispered. Miguel didn't look at me. He went straight to the bathroom, turned on the shower, and let the water drown out everything. The next morning, I went to the bowling alley. My affair partner, Tyler, 23, male, had a swollen eye and a cracked tooth. He wouldn't even look at me. Your husband's insane, Tyler muttered. No, he wasn't insane. He was heartbroken. The abortion appointment was 2 days later. Miguel didn't come with me. He didn't hold my hand. He didn't look at me when I left. Make sure it's done, he said. That's all. When I came home afterward, weak and hollow and bleeding into a pad that felt like punishment, the garage door was open. Miguel and 2 of his friends were ripping shelves down. By nightfall, our garage looked like a construction zone. By morning, he'd framed out walls. He wasn't leaving the house. He was leaving me. I talked to lawyers, he said that night, not looking up from his drill. Can't afford to divorce you right now. So this is what we're doing. He built himself an apartment in the garage, a bed, a mini fridge, a lock on the inside. He moved his clothes out of our bedroom and into his new space like he was evacuating from a natural disaster. He still kissed Eli and Nora goodnight. He never touched me again. Until 3 weeks later. And that's when things got uglier. Miguel moved into the garage like he was burying himself alive. He finished the apartment in less than 2 weeks. Drywall up, a cheap but clean bed, a couch someone from work donated. He even installed a deadbolt on the inside like he expected an invasion. From me. We still lived under the same roof. We just didn't live together. He'd come into the main house to see Eli and Nora, sit at the kitchen table, ask about homework, joke about cartoons. He'd cook dinner on Sundays like he always had. Daddy Cook Day, Nora would shout, and he'd smile for her. For them. For me? Nothing. If I spoke, he'd answer in single words. If I cried, he'd walk past me like I was furniture. 3 weeks after the abortion, I made a mistake. I tried to crawl into our old bed with him. He'd come inside late to grab some paperwork and shower. I waited until he was half asleep, slid under the covers, pressed myself against his back the way I used to when we were us. Miguel, I whispered. He went rigid. Get out, he said. I miss you, I said, voice cracking. Please. He rolled over so fast the mattress shook. His eyes were cold in a way I had never seen before. You miss me? He said. You didn't miss me in that motel. The words hit like a slap. I was wrong. I know I was wrong. I'll do anything. He grabbed my wrist when I tried to touch his face. Not violently, but firmly. Controlled anger, the worst kind. You don't get to cry your way back into my bed, he said. I stayed. That was my second mistake. When I leaned in to kiss him, he shoved me. Hard. I fell off the bed and hit the dresser. The framed wedding photo we kept on top tipped over and shattered on the floor beside me. The glass cracked right across our smiling faces. We both stared at it. Neither of us picked it up. After that, something twisted in him. He started going out. At first, it was subtle. Later nights, longer showers, new cologne. Then I saw it. The Tinder notification lighting up his phone when he left it on the kitchen counter. I confronted him in the driveway. "You're seeing other women?" He didn't deny it. "I'm adapting," he said flatly. "You adapted first." That first night he brought someone back, I thought I was going to vomit. He didn't bring her into the main house. He took her into the garage apartment, but I could hear it. The muffled laughter, the low music, the bed frame hitting the wall. I stood in the hallway outside the garage door, shaking, listening to the man I'd loved since I was 17 give someone else the affection I'd refused him for years. When he came back into the house the next morning to make pancakes for the kids, I snapped. "You're disgusting," I hissed in the kitchen while Eli and Nora were still asleep. He poured batter into the pan without looking at me. "I'm single," he said. "You made sure of that?" "We're married." He finally looked at me then. "No," he said quietly. "We're roommates with children." That night I lost it. I waited until he left for work and I went into the garage apartment. I tore through it like a hurricane. I threw the cheap couch onto its side, ripped the sheets off his bed, smashed the lamp against the wall, found a pair of women's underwear under his pillow and shredded them with scissors until my hands cramped. I don't even know who they belonged to. I just needed something to break. When Miguel came home and saw the damage, he didn't yell. He walked past me. Then he walked into our bedroom. 5 minutes later, he came back holding the old cosplay armor I'd spent months making years ago. The one he wore to conventions because it made me happy. He dropped it in the driveway and ran it over with his truck. Once, twice, 3 times. The foam cracked, the paint splintered. My stupid little fantasy world flattened under his tires. We stared at each other across the wreckage. "You don't get to destroy my space," he said evenly, "without me destroying yours." The kids watched from the window. That was the first time I realized this wasn't just pain anymore. It was war. The day it stopped being just rage and turned into something darker was the night Miguel brought a woman over while Eli and Nora were awake. Her name was Brianna. I know because Nora asked. "Who's that, Daddy?" she said, standing in the hallway in her unicorn pajamas while Miguel unlocked the garage door. Miguel froze for half a second. Just half. "This is Daddy's friend," he said carefully. Brianna smiled too wide. She was maybe mid-30s, red lipstick, the kind of confidence that comes from knowing exactly what she's walking into. I was standing in the kitchen doorway, watching, burning. "You're not taking her in there," I said. Miguel didn't look at me. "I live there. Our kids are inside." "And?" he shot back. "You introduced a stranger into our marriage first." The cruelty in that sentence was surgical. Brianna shifted awkwardly. "Maybe I should—" "No," Miguel said, eyes still on me. "You're fine." They went into the garage apartment. I stood there shaking so hard I had to grab the counter. Eli came up beside me. "Is Daddy mad at you?" I swallowed so hard it hurt. "No, baby. Grown-up stuff." That night, I didn't smash anything. I did something worse. I waited. When Miguel left for work the next morning, I drove to his job site. I'd never done that before. He works at an industrial maintenance company. Big warehouse, loud machinery, men who respect him. Miguel is solid there, reliable, strong. He's the guy they call when something breaks. I parked across the street and watched him through the open bay doors. He looked normal. Laughing, slapping a coworker on the back, like our life wasn't imploding. I don't know what snapped inside me. Maybe it was hearing him laugh. I walked straight in. "Lauren?" one of his coworkers said. Miguel turned. And I saw it, that flicker of fear, not for himself, for his image. "Can we talk?" I asked. "Not here," he said immediately. "Oh, here is perfect." My voice echoed off the metal walls. "You're bringing random women around our kids," I said loudly. "While we're still married." The shop went quiet. Miguel's jaw clenched. Go home. You're humiliating me, I said. My voice cracked, and I let it. You're sleeping with strangers to hurt me. A couple of the guys exchanged looks. Miguel grabbed my arm, not hard, but firm, and pulled me outside. The warehouse doors slammed behind us. What the hell are you doing? He hissed. I want you to feel embarrassed. Just once. He laughed. Actually laughed. You think this embarrasses me? Lauren, I already lost my wife in a bowling alley motel. There's nothing left to protect. That should have stopped me. It didn't. I went home and did something nuclear. I told his mother. Miguel's mom adores me, always has. She thinks I saved him from becoming a disaster in high school, so I called her and told her everything. The affair, the pregnancy, the abortion, his hookups, the garage apartment. I didn't spin it. I didn't soften it. I wanted him exposed. By dinner, his entire family knew. By the next day, his uncle had called him pathetic for sleeping around while still married. His sister texted me saying he needed therapy. His mom showed up at our house crying, begging him to forgive me because marriage is sacred. Miguel stood in the driveway while his mother sobbed, and I watched from the porch. He looked at me once. Not angry. Not screaming. Just cold realization. That night, he came into the main house for the first time in days. He didn't yell. He didn't break anything. He walked straight to the living room where our wedding photo, now replaced in a new frame after the glass shattered, sat on the shelf. He picked it up. And without looking away from me, he tore it in half. Slowly. Then he dropped the pieces at my feet. You want an audience? He said quietly. Fine. Let's give them a show. That was when I realized something. Miguel wasn't spiraling randomly anymore. He was thinking. And when Miguel starts thinking instead of reacting, that's when he becomes dangerous. Miguel didn't explode after I told his family. That would have been easier. He went quiet. Quiet Miguel is worse than screaming Miguel. Screaming burns out fast. Quiet plans. For a few days, he barely spoke to me at all. He went to work, came home, saw Eli and Nora, stayed in the garage apartment. No women, no music, no slamming doors. It felt like the calm before a tornado. Then Saturday morning came. We were supposed to take the kids to Eli's soccer game together. We'd agreed on that weeks ago, back when we were still pretending to function like parents instead of enemies. Miguel walked into the kitchen fully dressed, clean jeans, fitted shirt, hair styled like he was going on a date. You're not wearing that to soccer, I said. He grabbed his keys. Watch me. At the field, I understood. Brianna was already there. She was sitting on the bleachers with a coffee, sunglasses on, like she belonged, like this was her Saturday routine. My lungs actually tightened. Miguel walked straight to her, kissed her cheek, then, this part was surgical, put his arm around her waist. Eli saw. Daddy? He asked, confused. Miguel crouched down and smiled. It's okay, buddy. Adults have friends. Friends. I walked over, every step heavy. You're insane, I whispered. No, he said calmly. You embarrassed me at work. You turned my family against me. I'm done hiding. Brianna shifted awkwardly but didn't move. People were watching. Other parents, coaches, neighbors. I could feel it. The whispers forming. Miguel knew that's where I hurt the most. Reputation. Community. The image of us as that solid couple who made it through everything. He leaned down and kissed Brianna fully this time. Right in front of me. Something snapped. I grabbed his arm and shoved him. Hard. He stumbled back a step, more shocked than hurt. Don't you dare parade her around my kids, I hissed. You paraded another man in our marriage, he shot back. Parents were staring openly now. Eli started crying. Nora clung to my leg. Miguel's jaw flexed. For a second, I thought he might shove me back. Instead, he did something colder. He picked Eli up, handed him to me. Take them home, he said. You're not stable right now. Not stable. I laughed. A broken, hysterical sound. That afternoon, I escalated. I posted. I didn't write paragraphs. I didn't confess the whole affair. I posted one photo. Miguel and Brianna at the field, his arm around her waist. Caption: some people move on fast. That's it. Within an hour, our phones exploded. His cousins texting, my church friends messaging. Brianna's social media flooded because someone tagged her. People started digging. Someone found her profile. Someone commented, "Isn't he married?" Miguel came storming into the house that night for the first time since the garage move. "You want chaos?" he said, holding up his phone with the notifications going wild. "You got it. You humiliated me first. You cheated first." We were both breathing hard, inches apart. He walked past me and into our bedroom. I followed. He opened my closet and started pulling clothes off hangers. Fast, aggressive movements. Dresses, sweaters, my winter coat. "What are you doing?" "You want to act single?" he said flatly. "Start living single." He dragged the clothes into the hallway and threw them down the stairs. One by one. I tried to grab him. He shook me off. "You don't get to ruin my life and then cry about reputation," he said. "You don't get both." That night, for the first time, I slept on the couch. Not because he told me to, because I didn't feel safe in my own bedroom. And in the dark, staring at the ceiling, I realized something horrifying. I had wanted him jealous. I had wanted him emotional. I had wanted proof he still cared. Instead, I had created a man who was willing to burn everything down just to prove he didn't. And I still wasn't ready to stop. Miguel didn't bring Brianna back after the soccer field stunt. That would have been too simple. Instead, he escalated differently. 3 days after my post blew up, I got a call from my sister. "Lauren, why is there a post from Miguel?" My stomach dropped. I opened Facebook. Miguel had written a long, calm, devastating post. No names, no insults, just facts. "My wife had an affair, she got pregnant, the child wasn't mine. I found out through an insurance notification. I am trying to survive this in the least destructive way possible." That's it. No drama, no shouting, just enough. Within minutes, comments flooded in. Support, sympathy, men messaging him saying, "Stay strong," women calling me a monster in subtler words. People who'd liked my "some people move on fast" post were now deleting their comments. Miguel hadn't screamed. He'd corrected the narrative, and it worked. I confronted him in the driveway when he got home. "You're weaponizing the internet now." "You did first," he replied calmly. "I just told the whole truth." "You didn't have to." "Yes, I did," he said, voice finally sharp. "You painted me as a cheater. I'm not the cheater." The word landed heavy between us. The kids were inside. We both lowered our voices. "You're destroying our family," I whispered. He actually looked confused. "I didn't destroy it." That night, something shifted in me too. If he wanted truth, I'd give him truth. I walked into the garage apartment while he was showering. I didn't break anything this time. I took pictures, the bed, the condoms in the trash, the women's perfume bottle on his dresser, Brianna's hairbrush. When he came out with a towel around his waist, he froze. "You've lost your mind," he said quietly. "No," I replied. "You don't get to play wounded saint while sleeping around every other night." He stepped closer. "You don't get to pretend these are equal." The tension felt physical, like static in the air. "Maybe they are," I shot back. "Maybe betrayal is betrayal." His jaw clenched so tight I thought his teeth might crack. "You betrayed before I ever touched another woman. Because you were suffocating me." And there it was. The real thing. The years of pressure, his need, my shutdown, his resentment, my avoidance. He stared at me like I'd slapped him. "Suffocating," he repeated. "You were always hungry," I said, tears spilling now. "Always wanting." I felt like if I couldn't give you everything you needed, I was failing. "So you found someone who asked for less?" he said coldly. The cruelty hit its mark. "I didn't mean to fall apart," I whispered. He didn't answer. He grabbed his phone and dialed someone in front of me. "Brianna," he said when she answered. Don't come over anymore. I blinked. What? He didn't look at me. It's messy. I'm done. He hung up. Silence stretched between us. For a split second, just one, I felt hope. Maybe this was the turning point. Maybe he was choosing us. Then he walked past me into the main house and called his lawyer. Start the paperwork, he said. I don't care what it costs. I felt my knees buckle. You said you couldn't afford to divorce me. I can't afford not to, he replied. And that's when I panicked, because losing him in rage was one thing. Losing him calmly? That felt permanent. So I did the most desperate thing yet. I went into our bedroom that night while he was at work and tore up the separation papers he'd left on the dresser, ripped them into confetti. And when he came home and saw the shredded pieces on the bed, he didn't yell. He simply picked up his phone and called the police. For documentation, he said when they arrived. Property destruction. I stood there in my own house while an officer wrote notes. Eli watched from the stairs. Nora clutched her stuffed unicorn. Miguel didn't even look at me. That's when I realized this wasn't just a marriage imploding. It was two people actively trying to wound each other deeper than the original cut. And we were running out of skin. The police report changed everything. Not because I was arrested, I wasn't, but because it made it real. There's something about watching an officer stand in your bedroom, your sacred, messy, once intimate space, scribbling notes while your 8-year-old son peeks down the stairs. It strips away every illusion that this is just marital trouble. It becomes documented destruction. After the officer left, Miguel didn't say a word. He just walked back to the garage apartment and locked the door. I slept on the couch again. The next morning, Eli wouldn't look at either of us. Nora asked if Daddy was mad because Mommy was bad. That sentence felt like someone driving a nail into my ribs. I tried to talk to Miguel that evening. Not screaming, not accusing, just human. We're hurting them, I said quietly in the driveway. You hurt them first, he replied. I made a mistake. You made a choice. We stood there in the fading light, both exhausted. Then his phone buzzed. Brianna. He glanced at it, then at me. You told her not to come over, I said. I did. Then why is she still texting? He didn't answer. Instead, he walked into the house and, this is the part that still makes my stomach twist, Brianna showed up 10 minutes later. She didn't go to the garage. She walked straight to the front door and knocked. I opened it. Yes, I said, voice flat. She looked nervous, but determined. Miguel said it was messy, she said. I just need to know if he's actually done or if this is temporary. Temporary, like I was weather. Miguel came up behind me. I said I'm done, he told her. Because of her? Brianna asked. Yes. And something inside me cracked. Not jealousy, something uglier. You can have him, I snapped at her. Take him. See how long you enjoy being a rebound. Miguel stepped between us. Stop, he said sharply. Stop what? I shouted. Stop telling the truth? You're punishing me by sleeping around, but you won't even commit to leaving. Brianna's face hardened. You cheated first, she said to me. And before I could think, I shoved her. Hard. She stumbled back off the porch and hit the railing. Miguel grabbed me immediately, pulling me away. Have you lost your mind? He barked. She came to my house. She came because I didn't close the door properly. Brianna straightened up, eyes flashing. This is insane, she said. You two deserve each other. She left. Miguel turned on me. If you ever put your hands on someone again. What? I challenged. His expression changed. Not rage, decision. The next day, I was served. Miguel filed for legal separation with a temporary custody motion attached. He wasn't trying to take the kids away completely, but he was asking the court to evaluate our unstable home environment. Unstable. Because of me. I confronted him in the kitchen, papers shaking in my hands. You're using one shove to question my fitness as a mother? You screamed at my job. You destroyed property. You shoved someone off our porch. There's a police report, Lauren. He wasn't yelling. He didn't need to. "You're turning me into the villain to justify yourself," I whispered. "You made me the villain first." I started crying, full, shaking sobs. "I just want my husband back." He stared at me for a long time. "I don't know how to be that man anymore." That was the first honest thing he'd said in weeks, and somehow it hurt more than all the rage, because rage means there's still fire. This? This felt like ashes. But I wasn't done fighting. Not for him, not for my family, and if he wanted to go to court, then I was about to play a different kind of game. The court date was 6 weeks out. 6 weeks of living like we were contestants in some sick endurance challenge. Miguel in the garage apartment. Me in the house. Eli and Nora moving between us like tiny diplomats trying to keep a fragile treaty intact. But here's the thing about Miguel. He's prideful. And he hates losing more than he hates me right now. The custody motion wasn't about protecting the kids. It was about leverage, about making me feel small, unstable, replaceable. So I stopped reacting. No more screaming, no more porch shoving, no more social media. I scheduled therapy, for me, for the kids. I started documenting everything calmly. Drop-offs, conversations, who said what. I cleaned the house like it was going on display. Stability became my armor. Miguel noticed. "You're performing," he said one night when we passed each other in the kitchen. "No," I said quietly. "I'm correcting." He scoffed, but he watched. Then I did something he didn't expect. I asked him to dinner, not romantic, not pleading. "Just talk," I said. "Public place, no kids." He hesitated, then agreed. We met at the same Italian restaurant where I'd confessed about Tyler months ago. It felt symbolic, like reopening a wound on purpose. He looked tired. The anger wasn't gone, but it wasn't sharp anymore. It was heavy. "I talked to my lawyer," I said calmly. "If we fight this in court, it gets uglier. Psych evaluations, witnesses, your hookups, my affair, everything public record." He stiffened. "I don't care." "You do," I said softly. "You care about Eli reading it one day." That landed. I reached into my bag and slid something across the table. A signed agreement draft. I wasn't fighting custody. I wasn't asking for alimony warfare. I wasn't exposing his hookups. It was simple. Shared custody, therapy mandatory, mediation before court escalation, financial transparency, and one more clause. No overnight partners around the kids for 1 year. He stared at it. "You think you can bargain now?" "No," I said. "I think we can stop bleeding." Silence. "I never wanted to take the kids from you," he said finally. "I just needed control of something." "I know." That was the first time in months we weren't attacking. He leaned back in his chair, rubbing his face. "I don't know how to forgive you," he admitted. "I don't know how to undo it," I replied. Then I delivered the part that was my quiet revenge. "I didn't fight you at work because I wanted drama," I said. "I fought you because I was drowning in shame and you were acting untouchable. But here's the truth, Miguel. Every woman you brought home, they knew they were temporary. You weren't moving on. You were proving something." His jaw tightened. "You weren't free," I continued. "You were still orbiting me. Every hookup was about me." He didn't deny it. That was my win. Not humiliating him. Not destroying him. Making him see that I still mattered. "I'm not begging," I said softly. "If you want to divorce me, I'll survive. But don't pretend this was only my destruction. You set fire to everything too." We sat there a long time. He didn't reach for my hand, but he didn't pull away either. 2 weeks later, he signed the mediation agreement instead of pushing for the custody fight. He moved out of the garage apartment and into a rental across town. Not because he forgave me, because he needed space to stop hating me. The house is quieter now. Eli's therapy sessions are helping. Nora stopped asking if mommy is bad. Miguel and I exchanged the kids without screaming. Sometimes without even tension. Do I have my husband back? No. Do I deserve him back? I don't know. But here's the sweet part, the part no one sees. He hasn't brought another woman around since that dinner. Not because I demanded it, because the war ended. And when he looks at me now, it isn't rage, it's grief. And grief, at least, means there was love worth losing. I broke our marriage. He broke what was left trying to survive it. Now we're standing in the ruins, deciding whether to rebuild or finally walk away. And for the first time since that motel night, we're choosing without trying to destroy each other.